Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you. People, I have not only H.A. Goodman's other channel, which has over 15,000 subscribers in a couple of months, so thank you. That's doing very well. And I have a great segment up today, and I'll be doing a whole bunch of segments from now on that channel every day. Because I would do like a segment in the evening consistently on that channel, but now I'm gonna do 2 to 3 every single day on that channel. Obviously 3 to 4 on my main channel, H.A. Goodman, but there's also this channel, ladies and gentlemen, H.A. Goodman's Hyperbole Translator. And check that out. It's H.A. Goodman's Hyperbole Translator. That's formerly Bizarro World Goodman. and and I can't keep up the shtick and the charade and the character with the mustache and the wig every day. It's just impossible for me because it takes too much out of me. So I am going to, for example, Madam Secretary stated that President Trump wanted to engage in military actions against all Americans, which is obviously not the case. It was hyperbole. Her message about what President Trump is doing, which is at the request, by the way, of Democratic mayors and governors, was hyperbolic. If Democrats cannot engage in false equivalencies and hyperbole, they can't argue. If they can't engage in false equivalencies and hyperbole, they cannot argue their points. They have to make President Trump into something he's not at all times. So please go ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the link below. Eric H526, thank you. Eric H526, thank you. Luke St. Martin, have safe travels. And thank you always for your work being a moderator. And Eric H526, thank you so very much. But here it is again. It's H.A. Goodman's Hyperbole Translator. And what that is basically is it's basically evaluating Bill Abrams III. Bizarro Goodman gives me nightmares. It's breaking down and tearing apart the absurd hyperbole and false equivalencies and patently false statements from Democrats, from pundits, from media, because they are obsessed with fact-checking President Trump, but they never do that with their absurd comments. By the way, the standard by which President Trump is judged in terms of whether or not he lies or doesn't tell the truth, by that standard, media, Democrats, Adam Schiff, Jerry Nadler, Nancy Pelosi, and Madam Secretary, and every pundit on MSNBC and CNN, every single statement when they stated categorically Trump worked with Russia or that there was even cause for suspicion is false. He never worked with Russia. There was never any evidence, and there was never even a reason to be suspicious. There was no money flow from Uranium One into the Trump Foundation or Trump Organization. There was with the Clinton Foundation. So what they say with Clinton is, correlation should never be correlated to causation. But we know that's not the case. Correlation is not causation with Clinton. Okay, how many articles? Correlation does not imply causation. So here in the Washington Post, August 26, now Hillary has a big Clinton Foundation problem too. Correlation is not causation though. So we always have, as usual, I point out that correlation does not imply causation. This is regarding what divides Clinton and Trump supporters. So you have all of these articles desperately defending Madam Secretary. So I'm going to go ahead and on H.A. Goodman's Hyperbole Translator, formerly Bizarro World Goodman. Subscribe to that. I will have a segment right after this live stream. Now, ladies and gentlemen, DOJ petitions Supreme Court to block Mueller grand jury materials from being disclosed to Congress. There is no reason at all, zero reason, no reason at all, absolutely no reason at all for Democrats to look at Mueller's grand jury information. First of all, there are certain Democrats who already have that information. Secondly, they could have impeached President Trump on a legal statute. So you want to talk about hyperbole and patently false statements? Chris Hayes stated that Trump is a lawless president. Well, that's impossible because he wasn't impeached on anything to do with breaking the law. So how do you make a patently false, categorically false statement? He's a lawless president, but they impeach him. They don't impeach him on any crimes. Whereas Bill Clinton was impeached on obstruction of justice and perjury. So you have two different standards. Really, this is like a philosophy of, you have to take a philosophy of language course to understand what Democrats are saying on any given day, because they're saying 20 things at once always. Or actually, they're either saying a whole bunch of things at once, or they're just making the most broad, sweeping generalizations where media and Twitter and social media can then pick and choose what they want to insinuate about Trump. But they didn't indict anyone on working with Russia. Nobody worked with Russia. He didn't have to work with Russia. That was an excuse that they gave 65 million voters. They spent $1.2 billion, and they wasted all that money. And instead of simply admitting they had a horribly failed campaign, instead of simply rebuilding the Democratic Party from the ground up, where you could possibly even get people who have vowed now, like myself, never to vote for Democrats ever again. Instead of reaching out to all the people they cheated and all the people they lied about, instead of calling half the country deplorable, instead of simply saying, "Oh, well, we didn't cheat Bernie Sanders. Everything's fine. It was the Russians who this was a plot by Russia." They spent 3 years, 3 years, ladies and gentlemen, 3 years trying to convince the public based on a high to moderate confidence assessment. 3 years trying to convince the public that Trump worked with Russia, and then when they got a special counsel that framed and set up people that said, well, if you lie to the FBI, we're going to indict you and we're going to make you flip and sing. They went after people. Ladies and gentlemen, they went after people in the Mueller probe. From George Papadopoulos to Carter Page to Michael Flynn. This is Carter Page and Michael Flynn was before the Mueller probe, but George Papadopoulos. Michael Caputo, what they did to him was criminal. What they did to Michael Caputo was criminal. He was taking care of, I believe, his father. He was living next to his father or a family member, I think. And he had to utilize his life savings to just defend himself. And what they did is try to make the lives of people miserable so that they would say something horrible about President Trump. With Michael Cohen, they actually found wrongdoing. So most people don't commit crimes. Most people live a normal life. If you're Michael Cohen, you had a taxi empire that here's a genius who bought taxi medallions in New York right before Uber and Lyft. And so there goes, the taxi medallions went from like millions of dollars to $100,000, something like that. So he was in financial trouble. And I if you ask me though, like on a, you know me, I'll get into a tangent. Why on earth? And I was kind of told, like, you know, there's reasons why, but I just don't understand why. I just don't understand why. I have no clue. Why taxis didn't adapt to a changing environment. So, if you know that your competitors have these apps that they can just put on their phones and with those apps, they could then, you know, contact the driver, you know, anywhere they're at. They don't, because I remember going to New York many times when I was younger and just waiting for a taxi. Could be outside of a nightclub or a bar or a restaurant and waiting for a taxi. Same in DC also. And you could wait, you know, 10 minutes or a lot longer sometimes. But then there's Uber and Lyft, and there's an app, and then there's a whole GPS thing. They find out where you're at, and why couldn't they have simply done this? Maybe there's obviously a reason why they couldn't do this, but unions perhaps won. But I don't understand, like, Jack, Biden wishes he had H.A. Goodman's hairline. I got to do something with my hair. I'm growing a mullet. I can't do this. This cannot happen to H.A. Badman. I can't be growing a mullet. But I don't understand why. Like, I just don't get it. You know that your competition has cell phone apps that will basically dominate a market that, you know, taxi companies dominated. If you're a taxi company, why couldn't you have developed an app yourself? For the life of me, I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but whatever. The point, though, is this. They want more public relations. What they want to do is they want to say, Sandiford! President Trump needs to stop comparing harmless protesters for not meekly going home and start laying down the law on dirty cops. I agree with you, Sandiford. I agree with you. I think you should start with Comey and McCabe and a whole bunch of officials that tried to set him up and frame him, which is what Trump has already stated he would do with Comey and McCabe. But I agree with you. It's not that difficult to simply, after Eric Garner, the Democrats, instead of focusing on Russia, and this is part of the reason they're so duplicitous and insidious, instead of focusing on Russia for 3 years, Sandiford, they should have simply said, okay, what happened to Eric Garner will never happen again to any American citizen, especially not a black or African American citizen. We saw what happened with Eric Garner. We're the political party that demands, that Joe Biden says you ain't black if you don't vote for Biden. Why didn't... It's unbelievable, too, and this is one of the reasons President Trump's going to win. Democrats continually forget that they're the ones who did nothing. In terms of laws to protect African American citizens, they did nothing. President Trump signed the First Step Act. So you can say what you like about President Trump's tweets. He actually signed the First Step Act. So, he signed the First Step Act, and prison reform legislation took place against a person who's supposed to be this despot. And then I agree with you, Sandiford, but see, the thing is, Trump has already stated a million times peaceful protesters are great. Peaceful protesters are great. The media doesn't hear that. The media only hears what it wants to hear. Protest is fantastic, but what takes place with the media is they always, what they do is the following. They try to paint President Trump as a... They try to paint President Trump as a despot. They've been desperately trying to paint him as this tyrant. Oh my God, their lives are devoted. Doug Barnhart! H.A. word is that there will be another go to impeachment. They should. Doug, I want them to. That would be fantastic. This is what I would want. I want Democrats to impeach Trump twice. Before the election. I want I know that Hillary Clinton will be nominee. Biden, who knows what will take place. What else? Democrats should indict more Russian intelligence officials based on CrowdStrike's assessment without any concrete evidence that Russia hacked the DNC. Gabriel, hello. And they should do everything. They need to. It's like they need to double down. C. Farina! I truly appreciate your voice. Love your work. Thanks. C. Farina, thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated. And thank you for the kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, C. Farina, everybody here, the kind words that my audience has given me on this channel, H.A. Goodman's other channel, and even on the channel formerly known as Bizarro World Goodman, which will be H.A. Goodman's hyperbole translator. And then I will eventually make channels H.A. Goodman's Wine Enthusiast channel, H.A. Goodman's Tequila Tasting channel, H.A. Goodman's Whiskey and Bourbon channel, H.A. Goodman's Mezcal channel. Oh my goodness, Mezcal is really good. It's deceptively strong though. Like the 47% alcohol is deceptively, not deceptively, which is quite strong depending on which type of Mezcal you get. Let's see, H.A. Goodman's Archery channel, which I was thinking of for a second. But anyway, C. Farina, thank you so very much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. And I just appreciate the kind words. And thank you. Thank you for also your support. It means a great deal to me. John Green, hello. Eric H526, I can't have a gaming channel because my channel would consist of old Nintendo and Pong. I had Pong, Eric, before you were born. Before Eric H526 was born, little H.A. Badman was playing Pong, and it was state-of-the-art. Doot, 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 doot. And it was so... I had the old Atari, the original Atari. I had Duck Hunt and Pitfall and all that good stuff. But here, the Justice Department asked finally, 18 minutes in, the Justice Department asked the Supreme Court to take up the case in which the Trump administration seeks to overturn an appeals court ruling, ordering them to hand over secret grand jury material from Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report to Congress. They want this, ladies and gentlemen. They want this only to saturate the news cycle with more nonsense about what Trump possibly did that was covered up that Mueller couldn't find. Jordan Weinberg, Jordan, thank you, Jordan, thank you very much, Jordan, greatly appreciated. Thank you, Jordan, thank you. They want Jordan and C. Farina and everyone here. They want simply to harp on the fact that he cheated last election. This way, Madam Secretary was cheated. We're going to go back, and it's going to be seamless. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. And again, it's going to be seamless. They're not even going to bat an eye. Larry Whitaker! Bingo! People only hear what they want to hear until they come to a point where they are willing to see things as they are. Exactly. Also, Larry, Democrats, the main goal of media in this day and age is to create emotions, to foment emotions, to focus on emotions. They say that Trump is a demagogue, but people don't vote for Trump because of negative emotions. Democrats have to paint any support for Trump in that manner. They cannot simply look at the President Trump from the vantage point of who he is. Is he crass or boorish sometimes or crude? Sure. But Democrats are the same in their own duplicitous, disingenuous manner. They think that they have a better, Larry and Jordan, thank you, and C. Farina, they think they have a better grasp of what people want. People, like, whenever I hear, oh my goodness, Trump's personality, his personality, oh my God, Trump's personality, Trump has a great personality for the time period we live in. This is a time period where quick, vapid messages gain tremendous traction, and President Trump plays the same game that Democrats do, but his messages aren't really vapid. Like when he tweets about either Comey or Strzok or McCabe or the fact that he was set up and framed, he actually was. When Democrats tweet about how Russia stole the election from them, they're making it up. So he's able to communicate using the medium or mediums that Democrats think they have, this foothold, this foothold within. Democrats believe that they control social media, that they control American culture, that they have the pulse of what society really wants. They don't. Generation Z, or what is it? The most conservative generation in decades. Sparky! What happened with Flynn is the usual thing from the lowest court up. Accused are pushed into pleas rather than jury trials. Insist on a jury trial. Sparky, yes, I agree with you. Never take all of these. Thank you, Sheila Rogers. Thank you very much. Sparky, you're 100% right. How many times have I seen documentaries of people wrongfully accused? And they're like, oh, my lawyer said take the plea deal. And don't take the plea deal. Fight it. Because the plea deal, you could, if you're unjustly incarcerated, you can always work. There's the Innocence Project. You can always try your best every single day to write to people and to try to just get out of the unjust sentence. I mean, it's easier said than done, but C. Farina! By the way, you're totally right about C. Farina, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It is going to happen, C. Farina. And thank you so very much, by the way. Thank you. And they're just, look, the reason that William Barr is preventing Democrats from harping on this yet again is because what they'll do is the following. Robert Mueller had no reason to investigate President Trump. The Mueller probe was predicated upon James Comey's memos. That's it. And James Comey's memos were predicated upon a Steele dossier purchased by Clinton and the DNC. The notion that his memos were important is predicated upon an investigation that utilized evidence purchased, gossip and hearsay purchased by Trump's direct political rivals. They don't have, look, anything that harms Trump or hurts Trump, they don't care about. They literally do not care. Anything where they if they go after and set up and frame President Trump, they are not held accountable. And what they've done is then simply tossed aside as, oh my God, this is nonsense. It's just a fantasy of Trump. And then they go on and promote their own fantasies. They do not care. They do not care. So, Ben A. Thank you so very much, Ben A. Thank you. Thank you. Greatly appreciated, Ben. Thank you. We're reaching a time, ladies and gentlemen, where I think this is Ben A. Thank you, Ben and C. Farina and everyone here. Ben, I think this is the equivalent of, in a football analogy, of we're entering the third quarter, and President Trump is up by 10. He's up by 9. Trump's up by 10. No, he's up by 9. Trump has a safety and a score above the Democratic Party. So, Ben, we're going into the third quarter up by 9. Lee, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a viable third-party candidate on either side. I think the hilarious part is the Green Party could be a lot more viable than anything libertarians have, which would hurt Democrats infinitely more. But Ben, Mitchell Smith, hello. But Ben, I think that we're going into the third quarter, Trump up by 9, and they're going to change quarterbacks very soon. They're going to go, they've been trying to run the ball with Biden, and Biden's missing open passes. And eventually, they're going to give the quarterback position to you-know-who, Madam Secretary. It'll be the biggest political call of all time, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening. And it's not because I don't like Democrats. It's not because I wrote about this in 2017 because it's a political machine. Just look up Boss Tweed. Just look up Tammany Hall. Just look up Boss Tweed and Tammany Hall. Okay? There's a great book it's like a pamphlet book, but The Plunkett of Tammany Hall, a series of very plain talks. This is a fantastic book, The Plunkett of Tammany Hall, written by, this was written in the 1800s. By a Democratic Party boss, a George Washington Plunkett, and there are you want to know what the chapters are? Chapter 1: honest graft and dishonest graft. You don't think Bill and Hillary have read this cover to cover every day? Chapter 1, honest graft and dishonest graft. This is written in the 1800s, people. Let me see. Is it 1800s or early 1900s? How to become a statesman. Chapter 2. Chapter 3, the curse of civil service reform. Chapter 4, reformers only mourn in glories. Chapter 5, New York City is pie for the hayseeds. Chapter 6, to hold your district. Chapter 7, on the shame of the cities. Chapter 8, ingratitude in politics. Chapter 9, reciprocity and patronage. Is this not the basis of the Democratic Party? Chapter 10, Brooklynites natural... Okay. Chapter 11, Tammany leaders, not bookworms. Chapter 12, dangers of the dress suit in politics. So we can go on for Tammany's patriotism. Chapter 19, successful politicians do not drink. Well, I guess that a lot of Democrats don't abide by that. So you look at this, ladies and gentlemen. You look at this and you say to yourself, okay, what is the history of the Democratic Party? The history is that it's a political machine based on honest and dishonest graft. Ben, thank you. White Thin Man, thank you. H.A., enjoy your perspective and sense of humor. Thanks. Thank you so very much, White Thin Man. Thank you. Thank you very much, White Thin Man. I appreciate the kind words always. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. You have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, when this is like... people who don't like me, I consider to be the biggest imbeciles on the planet, so it's like, I don't really care if they don't like me. But, you take some heat, and then you have people that you've known for a long time, and then they give you nonsense. You're like, okay, now I know. The theme song of this is not just Ain't No Future in Your Frontin' by the great MC Breed. Who sings that song? I see your true colors shining through. It's like you see everyone's true colors shining through. This election will show everyone's true colors. It'll show people who they are. And then there's the Dionne Warwick song, That's What Friends Are For. You really know who your friends are. White Thin Man, thank you. Ben, thank you again. Ben A, my goodness, thank you so very, very much. Ben, thank you for your generosity. Greatly, 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 greatly appreciated. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. White Thin Man, thank you again, as always. Thank you. So, it's just when you have a really wonderful group of people, Bernie will not run his third party. Bernie will do whatever is told to him by Madam Secretary and the Democratic Party. Bernie should have... I would have had a great deal of respect for him had he just joined Jill Stein, but that's a whole other story. Vince, thank you. They're trying to rehash and reignite every failed propaganda spin because Madam Secretary is coming back. She's coming back, baby. Then you have these, they're desperately trying. Joe Biden outperforming Hillary Clinton in more than a dozen key states critical to Trump's 2016 victory. Who could believe this? This is the most absurd. Even, look, when they were saying Clinton was ahead in the swing states, I wrote she couldn't be ahead because she has negative favorability ratings. And a Democrat with negative Democrats are supposed to be these public relations machines. The media props them up. If you have negative favorability ratings and the media is propping you up, if the media was not as biased, those ratings would tank even further, a lot further. Like when they say Biden's up nationally, yeah, because every absurd thing he says, which is like completely absurd, is propped up swept under the rug by media. It's completely swept under the rug by media. So, Dean Diefendorf, greetings from the epicenter, Midtown Manhattan. Dean, stay safe. Dean, stay safe. Stay safe. And, Ben, Dean, Y. Thinman, Dean, everyone here, be here in November, ladies and gentlemen. November is like the James Brown song, The Big Payback. I love James Brown. I love James Brown. I love B.B. King. I love MC Breed. I love, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. I love the simplicity. The OJ song "Backstabbers" is fantastic. That's the Bernie Sanders anthem. They don't even be home. I don't even be home, but they still keep on calling. That's the Democratic Party for you. Dean Diefendorf, thank you. Stay safe, Dean. Oh, by the way, LA has a 5 o'clock curfew. I'm just going to, the government now is mommy and daddy. We're all, 12 years old. This is mommy and daddy. And I do agree, like the curfew makes more sense than the shutdown of the entire United States economy. So, Dean, stay safe. Why Thinman? Ben, thank you so very much again. Stay safe, Ben. Everyone stay safe. So, we had a 3-month self-induced depression with 35 million people unemployed, and now we have even more businesses burnt to the ground, and Democrats, notice how they just don't talk about social distancing anymore. That went out the window as the brick flew in. Sparky! Jury trials slow things down. Getting through the docket is the judge's number one priority. All court officers, defense, or prosecution want judge to smile. Yep. I agree with you, Sparky. I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that for violent crimes, I know that there are harsher sentences for violent crimes, but I don't even think there should be, like, if it's a violent crime, especially like a heinous crime, the sentence should be far worse than a non-violent crime. In many cases it is, but in some cases it's not really. But again, President Trump, there are systemic injustices that needed to be addressed. And President Trump did address those. It's really interesting how they say he's a tyrant, but tyrants don't sign prison reform legislation. That doesn't happen. They have no grasp of history. Everything is hyperbole. Everything is false equivalencies. They have to make the most absurd analogies. They simply cannot. Look, here's the thing, all 500 people watching. God bless you all. Ben, thank you. Why Thinman, thank you. Everyone here, thank you. I don't care if people worship a statue of Hillary Clinton every single day. I don't care. I don't care what they do. Do you think I care at all? It's my friends who, I have certain friends that are like, I just want to let you know you're on the wrong side of history. You're not even in a position to judge what you don't know. You don't even know enough about history to judge where I'm at. And 63 million Americans voted for President Trump, and it's almost as if those 63 million Americans don't exist. If you ask the average Democrat, those 63 million Americans do not exist. In fact, America, the United States, is not 320 plus million people. It's 65 million people that voted for Hillary. And Clinton's coming in. God bless her. See, this is the funny thing. They have utter contempt for Trump. I almost love Madam Secretary. Are you kidding me? I love Clinton. She's fantastic. Okay? Look, she's, you're talking about, of course, a criminal who has helped, obliterate countries. And, you transferred top secret intelligence. Obviously, it's an illegal act, but whatever. It's fantastic. I want her to run every election. And then they're really thinking that President Trump is not going to leave the White House because they really think they're going to win. Because they think everyone is so obsessed with Trump the way they do. They're in for a really, really harsh, reality check when President Trump wins again. They're not going to get the voter turnout. You think they're going to get voter turnout from all of this? They're not going to get the voter turnout from all of this, ladies and gentlemen. That's not going to happen. Ben, thank you again, Ben. Greatly appreciated. They're not going to get the voter turnout. Medima, thank you. The voter turnout is what is going to... Voter turnout is the lifeblood of Democrats. It's everything that Democrats... Without voter turnout, without a whole lot of people, especially in urban centers, voting, Democrats cannot win. They're destroying now the urban centers. The cities are up in flames now. That is not being covered. It's being covered surreptitiously almost. Like it's like you'll see the article, you'll see the headline, you'll see the picture of, a building or a car in flames, and then you'll go to Twitter and the tweets are, "Oh my God, Trump is going after normal, sweet protesters. Oh my God, this is horrible. He's asking for the military to go after all Americans. All Americans, no. Oh my God. Do you enjoy this life? Do you enjoy this life? Well, I guess Hillary was right. Oh yeah, do you understand how much I love? This is the thing. I don't care. I want Clinton to run They don't want Trump. When your greatest ally is the most influential Democrat, life is great. The greatest ally Trump has, or any Trump supporters, especially my voice, is Madam Secretary. Oh my goodness. What kind of diabolical plot is H.A. Badman up to? Oh, he wants us to run again just so he could be right. Well, guess what? We're running. It has nothing to do with you. You can't take credit for all the wonderful things Madam Secretary has done for the people of Libya and everyone else. Scooter 77. Why don't they subpoena Assange and give him immunity for his testimony? The Republican Party, he's in UK custody right now, so, I think that he should be pardoned immediately. Either by Boris Johnson or by President Trump. But he can't do that because I don't think the Republicans can do. Maybe they could, but then you'll get Scooter 77. You would get the apoplectic, rabid, hysterical reaction from Democrats. Also, Scooter 77. You have to understand something. Ben A. Thank you, everyone here. Democrats run on emotion. Their only asset, their only competitive advantage is emotion. That's it. They don't have a specific policy they're working on. The Green New Deal is purely emotion. When they tried to vote on it in the Senate, they're like, "Oh my God, this was actually just trying to motivate people. What are you trying to do?" No. Some Democrats voted against it. Sammy 2, hello. Some Democrats voted against the Green New Deal. So, again, you're looking, ladies and gentlemen, at this is a failure of ideas. They have a failure of ideas. When you can't, anyone that tries to debate there have been YouTubers and quote unquote journalists, whatever, writers, whatever, that have tried to go after me. I have contacted them. I said, let's debate. They refuse to. They refuse to because they don't have any argument. Their argument is, how dare you? How dare you? How could you? Trump is this, and you're supporting this, therefore you are this. It makes no sense. They make absurd false equivalencies, these absurd, ridiculous analogies, and they cannot argue on the merits. They don't know how to debate. Christopher Hitchens, left-leaning journalist, writer, columnist, essayist. Christopher Hitchens would be viewed as a conservative monster. And he might not like Trump, but he would be absolutely against the Russia hoax, which he would be totally against it. And then, of course, the media would then be like, oh, my God, what's happened to Christopher Hitchens? Anyone they don't like. They tried to do it to Elon Musk. They tried to do it to Kanye West. They tried to do it to a whole bunch of people. It doesn't work if you're big enough. If you're big enough to withstand the media, it doesn't really work. And on a microscopic level, they tried to marginalize me when I was on the left. Now that they've just given up on me, whatever. Which is fantastic. And if they ever try to go after me, they'd be dissing themselves. I think Voltaire said, if you diss me, you diss yourself. Because every single article that I had published on the left was given a stamp of approval by editors who are now working for major publications, and I know all the publications that those former editors are working at. So if anybody tried to say, oh, well, this man, this person was there during the election, well, you know what? Who published all my work? Oh, that's right, the same people who devote their life now to disliking Trump. So nobody can say that, like, oh my goodness, he's such a horrible person. It's like, well, I had arguments that resonated with a great many people on the left, and then eventually I saw that President Trump's a good president. He just is. He'll get reelected. I think President Trump could possibly win the popular vote. I am not certain about that. I'm only certain that Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. She's the only chance they have. Hillary Clinton is the only chance they have. That's it. They have zero chance with Biden, and they're doing it to themselves with Biden because they have to keep up appearances. What are they going to say? That they're going to lose to Trump? They've spent 3 years. I mean, this is like a football team where like the average fan knows something is wrong, but all the sports writers around the team are saying, yeah, we're going to win it all this year, and we're going to win it all, and everything's great, and no. Sparky! Pompeo has Trump fooled concerning Assange. I think that the reality is this, Sparky. I think that, unfortunately, there's no political utility for the president right now to do anything pertaining to Assange. I think Assange should be free. I think he's a hero. He should be free. But there needs to be a political utility. The vitriol against him, the vitriol is purely, it emanates purely from the left. Mainly Madam Secretary and that whole giant apparatus. Look, the U.S. government is keeping it up, or the U.S. government, in terms of inertia, hasn't reversed course. But what can Trump do at the moment? Pompeo tweeted out the DNC emails, so at least he's on record as tweeting out the DNC emails. I want him to be free tomorrow, and I wrote twice in the Daily Caller and in the Times of Israel that he should be free. Orange Girl 55, not the other guy. Never elections. Yeah, zero passion behind Biden. Watching paint dry is more passionate than Biden. Exactly. Orange Girl 55. Not the other guy never wins. Kerry was not the other guy to a great extent. John Kerry. You're 100% right, Orange Grove 55. You're 100% right. Pop analysis! What's up, HA? Some are calling this The Purge, like the movie. What happens when this is over? I was out in Zuccotti Park for Occupy in 2011. Oh, okay, cool. I think when this is over, they'll try to find some way to stop the economic recovery. Pop Analysis, they're like, no. And I think like one of the big tragedies, Pop Analysis, is that how many black-owned businesses were burned and destroyed by this. All businesses owned by all people of all backgrounds. But the left is like, it's unbelievable how much wealth within the black community was taken from people, from communities. How much money and wealth and businesses. There was this poor man. He was a black man entrepreneur who had a restaurant that was destroyed by the peaceful protesters. Who? How is this man going to get a loan now? Now there has to be a loan. There needs to, what President Trump needs to do tomorrow, and the Republicans need to do in the Senate, is draft a bill to give immediate loans to everyone who lost a business. So Pop Analysis, I think that what they're doing is they're stalling the economic recovery because quarter 3 and 4, well, the third quarter will be right around the election, and they do not want the numbers because the numbers will be amazing just by virtue of we had record low unemployment, then we tanked, and it was self-induced. There was no structural issue with the economy. It was self-induced. And then when people start getting their jobs back and start getting revenue and businesses up again, the economy will rebound. But, I mean, if it's not a self-induced, oh my God, the pandemic, no, then it's, oh my God, the cities are, set ablaze, no. It's like Democrats, they started with Russia, no, and then impeachment, no, and then Michael Cohen, no, and then Stormy, no, and then Avenatti, no, and every single news cycle is like, Trump, no, and then we were just finally opening up the country, and then suddenly these spontaneous, not just purely organic, protests took place. Nicoletta, thank you, Nicoletta. And I think that Pop Analysis, I believe that, George Floyd, like Eric Garner, definitely what took place with them was they were murdered, but Democrats never did anything to set laws up to protect citizens. I think that, and eventually after this Pop Analysis, President Trump has to focus on economic growth immediately. And if he doesn't, he could lose the election. But I think he will. Focus on that. They don't want, ladies and gentlemen, the economy to rebound. They don't want the economy to rebound. If the economy rebounds, they're toast. Well, they're already toast already, but with all the there's nobody with a brain cell functioning that thinks that Biden has even a chance in the known universe against Trump. What they're doing now is they're keeping up appearances. With all these polls, you look into the polls and 30% of people are very enthusiastic with Biden, 70% are very enthusiastic with Trump. So, and then you get voter turnout is going to be abysmal for Democrats, but they don't care. So Ben A, thank you. Sparky, Grandpa by name got a pension by act of Congress. Grandpa by name. A pension. Sparky, thank you. That's true. That's true. Hank, that's true. I think that there has to be an emphasis. President Trump has to emphasize, and what he's doing now, he can't force the military into states that don't want them. So the governors are like, they're saying two things. The Democratic governor is saying two things out of their mouth at all times. And then he's tying Biden to all the carnage, which is Biden's caught between like two competing propaganda narratives Democrats have. 3 days after he said, "You ain't black if you don't vote for Biden," George Floyd lost his life. 3 days before, I should say. 3 days before. Now he's saying, I feel your pain. And at the same time saying, well, you could, go after their legs. That's what Biden said. I won't even get into it on live streams. He's like, oh, yeah, the law enforcement should go after their legs. Oh, thanks, Joe. You know so much. You're so smart. Have you ever seen a worst candidate? This makes Clinton 2016 look like, the best candidate of all time. Then you have the New York Times, like the one, like they write an accurate headline, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, no!" And then they go back to like their. And I read this segment on this, earlier today. But then they go back just now, an hour ago. Zuckerberg defends approach to Trump's Facebook post. Why would he have to defend his approach? Why would you fact check Trump but not Nancy Pelosi? The assumption there is that Pelosi doesn't make deceptive claims, that Clinton doesn't. Every single thing they said for the past 3 years has been either false or deceptive or misleading. I mean, we can go on. Trump never worked with Russia. There was no reason to be suspicious. And if there was reason to be suspicious for Trump, why weren't Democrats suspicious over money that went from the Clinton Foundation? Millions from Uranium One into their foundation. Why weren't they suspicious then? So, and it's kind of funny, too, because it's not working. Mitchell Smith! I love the scene where the NBC reporter is saying that it's not that bad here and the buildings are roaring. Thank you, HA. I know. It's not funny, but it's sad. They cannot possibly, Mitchell and Ben, thank you, Ben. Thank you again. They cannot possibly, Mitchell. They can't possibly admit. They can't possibly admit. They can't possibly admit that they're actually wrong. Sparky, so Congress can account for groups too. Yeah. Congress should, address all the money that was lost from all of this. I mean, I love also too, like Mitchell, the cities that are worst run. It's funny. Democrats presided over the greatest loss of life with the pandemic. This is a fact. 3 to 4 states accounted for over half of the lives lost out of 50 states, and they were all run by Democratic governors, Democratic mayors, Democratic senators. Illinois and Michigan and New Jersey and New York are political machines. And then you had the cities. You have the cities, ladies and gentlemen, the cities that are run by Democratic mayors are being torn to the ground. And all the while, media is like, Trump is just such a mean person. He's so horrible. It's like, no, he's not horrible. It's actually the Democrats are asking him. And it's just a matter of time now. Look, we have June, July, and August. It's heating up, everybody. I always stated Hillary Clinton will be nominee. My prediction is going to be that at the convention, they're not going to waste the opportunity. They can't. And nobody is saying this because it's going to be the centennial of the 19th Amendment, but people truly believe that the Democratic primary has rules. They have no rules. They have no rules. So, ladies and gentlemen, Clinton will be nominee. It'll be the biggest political call of all time, and you will have had a front seat to the charade, the Barnum and Bailey, act at this channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel. And in a couple of minutes, ladies and gentlemen, about 10, 15 minutes or so, I will have my first segment on H.A. Goodman's hyperbole translator. Okay? I translate the Democratic Party's patently false and hyperbolic statements and absurd false equivalencies. Give me your thoughts below, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Ben, and everyone here. Everyone here. Thank you so very much. Your support helps me, keep going. And H.A., could the Flynn judge be... you know what? I'm not sure. Doug, I can't say. I don't think so. Doug, thank you. Your support is greatly appreciated, everybody. And Mick, I have the feeling that your president, who I highly respect, will make heads roll after the coming elections. Carnage before the election is no good. Mick, I think after the election, like I great minds think alike. I've stated after the election, I think that things are going to take place in terms of President Trump going after the people who try to set him up. Larry Whitaker watched Biden grill Clarence Thomas 1991. Biden's behavior despicable. Let's get Biden up on the stand and grill him the same way. Biden is in soft, velvety, protective pocket of the DNC DC machine for now. Exactly. Well, Larry, thank you so very much. Thank you, Larry, for your generosity. Thank you. That's probably why he's playing ball. That's probably why his legacy will be tarnished forever. This people say, well, why would he do this to himself? He's going to tank his campaign. You watch people. He's going to tank his campaign even worse than the Charlemagne interview very soon. He'll probably jump into the reflecting pool without any clothes on. Larry, that's probably why he's doing all of this, because they are protecting him big time. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Tina Bobina. I had a personal run-in with a paid protester 4 years ago. I had the heads up that they existed, and they showed up at a Southern flag rally at Heritage Park in Plantation, Florida. Tina Bulbina, thank you. Tina Bulbina, thank you. Well, stay safe. Stay safe. Always stay safe. Tino Bulbina, thank you very much. Larry, thank you. Mick, thank you. Ben, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ben. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. I will be back very likely around a little bit earlier tonight, probably around 9 p.m. Probably around 9 p.m. Pacific. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been a fantastic live stream, and I just thank you for your support. Check out it's the former Bizarro World channel, and I'll give it to you right now, everybody. It's H.A. Goodman's Hyperbole Translator. And I might start off with just 5-minute segments. Just to make it short and sweet. Hold on. Translator. Oh, it's still under Bizarro World Goodman, which is hilarious. So, Bizarro World Goodman. Say, I changed it to fact checking, so it's a whole bunch of different names. I'm gonna keep this, but check this one out, everybody. Here's the link. Be there in about 10 minutes, people. Be there in about 10 minutes, people. Thanks, everybody. Ben, thank you again. Larry, thank you, and Ben, thank you again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. God bless. Be here tonight at around 9 p.m. Pacific. Thanks, everybody.